Judy Adams is taking things slowly. She's just finished treatment for pancreatic cancer.
My pancreas no longer functions, so it doesn't produce the enzymes that are required to break down food.
For Judy, a simple meal involves taking a medicine called Creon. It helps her to digest food.
Coming out for. If you don't have any enzymes, chronic diarrhoea just comes out as you've ingested it, and it's painful, lots of cramping, wind.
But late last year she went to the pharmacy and learned there was none on the shelf.
To be told, well, that's not available and we can't tell you when it will be available. Yeah, it's a very frightening situation to find yourself in.
Judy is one of thousands of patients affected by ongoing medicines shortages. Nationally, there are more than 400 medicines in short supply or out of stock. More than 40 are listed as critical. Regulators say most drugs have substitutes available. But pharmacists around the country have told 730 it's not so straightforward.
That will get you going.
Tasmanian pharmacist Judy Lamb says it's costing patients money.
We do absorb some of the costs. It's just not always that simple.
For example, kids' antibiotics like liquid amoxicillin have been in and out of supply for months. It can mean parents have to buy more of a weaker dose, and that costs extra. It's the same with common blood thinners used by people with heart conditions.
And they will run out faster and they might have to pay for more bottles of it.
For other patients, there can be added costs if they usually take a combination of two drugs in a single pill. In the case of this cholesterol drug, they need to fill 2 scripts, costing more.
Now they're having to pay an extra bottle every week.
There's a price to the health system too. Health economist Bonnie Parkinson says substitutions impact the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, or PBS.
That would be an increased cost to the government because now their patient is going through 2 packs.
I definitely have the Palexia.
Some changes only need a doctor's approval over the phone, but others need a new script entirely.
The obvious impact to Medicare is the fact that the patient might have to go back to the doctor, and so that will be an additional consultation fee.
That's ready. Delivery.
But pharmacists are most worried about patient safety. They say regular changes can make it harder for patients to take their drugs as instructed.
So yeah, if the box is different, if the capsule is different, a lot of the time people can struggle. We have patients that goes hundreds of kilometres away just so that they can get the medication, but sometimes the shortages is so bad that they just have to go without.
For Judy, the alternative was a granular form of Creon, but it didn't withstand humidity and was completely unpalatable.
When you've got one company that makes the vital drug that you need and that supply chain gets interrupted, it has knock-on effects and could be life-changing.
For some patients, a lack of alternatives can be deadly. Natalie Sinclair is one of 2,500 people nationally with Addison's disease. It means her body doesn't make stress hormones, including cortisol.
If I'm walking down the street and a car suddenly pulls out, you have that moment of shock, of absolute stress. You're shaking, your blood pressure drops, you can become sick, you lose your ability to speak, your body just starts to shut down. The next step's really having a heart attack, and that's really it.
To live, Natalie takes a drug called Hysone, which mimics cortisol. In January this year, suppliers ran out. Natalie found out at the pharmacy counter.
It was pretty terrifying, to be honest. I think probably by about the 50th phone call to a chemist, I just sat there in tears thinking, what am I supposed to do here? And they weren't able to even hold the medication for me because there was such a demand for it.
Shortages like these are being blamed on supply chain issues. Michael Ryan is a pharmaceutical consultant. He says that could mean a factory stopped production because it failed to meet standards, or natural disasters overseas.
80% of active pharmaceutical ingredient comes from two countries, India and China.
While making more drugs in Australia is an option, experts say it's unlikely.
Australia's market's actually quite small. You can see how some suppliers go, oh, well, it's just not worth it.
Michael Ryan says a key problem is profitability. Manufacturers have to meet high standards and invest in new drugs, but they face heavy competition from generics.
When you get multiple suppliers all trying to win a market, it's a race to the bottom. And the ability to do anything around storage and supply to guarantee supply disappears.
Health Minister Mark Butler says new laws came into effect in July to ensure suppliers keep up to 6 months' stock of nearly 3,000 critical brands.
There have been more global shortages of medicines over the last 3 years than is normal. That's why these security of supply arrangements that we've put in place that came into effect in July are just so important.
Just the codeine, not the Polexia.
Judy Lamb says it isn't translating into goods on shelves.
With my conversation with my supplier, a lot of the manufacturer is actually applying for exemption.
In a statement, industry group Medicines Australia told 7:30, pharmaceutical companies have robust business continuity plans and work with government to ensure patients aren't adversely affected. Natalie eventually tracked down her medication. She says now she's been forced to stockpile.
How did this happen? How did you become in a situation where you're out of stock of a medication that keeps a group of people alive every day?